before Tommy says goodbye, the second most viewed video on his channel, the Vanishing of Flight 370. Is this Malign one, or is this Lost? This is the Malign airplane, probably, right? You guys remember that years ago? The Malign airplane is gone, oh god. If you win more than 200k a year, you're on the 1%.
Just let me.
Like, I can talk about this. I'm always honest to you guys, and I just want to spread the truth. I have a very good living in the last 2 years. For 2 years now, I'm doing great. And it's just a fact. I mean, what do you want me to fucking lie to you so you don't alienate and you feel still connected to your streamer? I just want to be honest to you guys. And one thing I truly learned in the last 2 years, which really scared me, is that, and it's you don't understand it if it didn't happen to you. It needs to happen to you. For 28 years, I was the poorest motherfucker, right? I had nothing, zero. And it was very hard to gain at least 10 euros, man. I was working hard for 20 euros, man. I would get extra shifts. Can I work 2 hours more? It was hard to acquire wealth. And now I feel this thing in my life, which is really weird and scary and a weird system, that the more money I have, or the money once have, the easier it is to get more money. The more I become wealthy, the easier it is for me to get wealth. And that must be a basic system in capitalism, that the more you acquire, the more you have experience, knowledge, contacts, and the resources to get richer, man. And that always scared me a bit, man, you know? Dude, 3 years ago, I couldn't even pay for my food in the end of the month. And now I get sponsorships that give me fucking big 4-digit... It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I mean, that's how it goes. That's how the world goes around. And it's such a weird feeling to me, that the more you make, and like with investments and shit, right? Your money just grows from alone. And it's like, jeez, man. It's, you know? I'll never forget PewDiePie once said he never pays for phones. He's so famous, they just sent him the new iPhone every time. And he said, yeah, this is an example of you just get richer and richer, man. It's a weird thing, man. I don't know, it's really weird. Unless you make a big mistake. Yeah, sure, man. You know, don't invest in Bitcoin, you know. Okay, final video, boys. And then I gotta do some business. I totally forgot the story, man. 2014. There was an airplane that was lost and nobody found it. And it wasn't news a lot. That's kind of why I know. That's why you get taxed. Dude, to me, one of the scariest things in the world is to fucking crash an airplane. You guys ever sit in an airplane and imagine what happens? What will happen if it happens now, man? That is all. I think about this very often, man. One of the scariest things in the world. Imagine you're in an airplane and you know this is it, man. This plane is fucking crashing and you're fucked. The fucking thoughts that go through your mind, the panic in the room, the SMSs you're sending out, that shit must be horrifying. I very often, you guys remember some years ago, there was a German pilot who was flying from Barcelona to Berlin. And he was suicidal. And he was locking out his co-pilot and he was crashing into the mountains in like northeast Spain. And everybody died. You guys remember that? I think about this often. Like, how must that feel? You sit in an airplane and they tell you, yeah, this is it. This guy is going to crash. We have 10 minutes left to live. That is so horrifying, dude. That shit is scaring the living hell out of me. When I'm in a car, at least I still have control, you know? But that shit is so horrifying. Like, your final moments, and it's just, this is it, man. Wow. Scary as hell, dude. Imagine, dude, I know this is very horrifying things I'm saying here. Imagine you are in a 9/11 plane. How fucking horrifying that must be. You sit in that plane, these terrorists, if you stand up, they're gonna shoot you, and you know you're flying into your probable death. That is so horrifying, dude. If you drown like 1 minute, you're dead, man. But fucking sitting in that airplane, just horrifying. Well, I always think about this. I imagine this stuff. Imagine you're Kobe Bryant. You're in with your young daughter. You sit in this helicopter, and it's like net, and you're going down. What are your last thoughts? That must be so fucked, man. Oh, I wish that you and me never have to feel that. I hope no one in chat has to ever feel that shit. Bah! Most horrifying shit I could imagine.
Malaysia 370, standby.
At Kuala Lumpur International Airport, a Boeing 777 is preparing.
But my grandfather had a saying for not flying an airplane. Today might not be your day to die, but if it is the pilot's day to die, then everyone dies.
Departure.
Malaysia 370, request level. 370, we are ready, requesting flight level 350 to Beijing.
Malaysian
That
Airlines.
mouse was once a couple of seconds away from an airplane crash. The guy who made Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane, he was in a 911 plane and then he left it because he came too late or something. Did you imagine that? That is unimaginable. You just missed your plane. It was in the end the 911 plane. That happened to Seth MacFarlane. True story, man. Wow.
Flight 370 is a daily passenger flight between Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia and Beijing, China.
370, 32 right of takeoff. Nice.
He got notification from his Illuminati membership. Yeah, sometimes in life, right? Like the guy who owned the World Trade Center, that guy who was buying the World Trade Center 1 year earlier, he was actually, on 9/11, he was actually supposed to be in his office, but then he had a doctor's appointment, which he always skipped. But that day, he went to his fucking gastroenterologist, man. He got a call. He left the World Trade Center, the guy who owns it and insured it 1 year earlier. Crazy, man. Crazy. Crazy how that happened.
42 minutes past midnight, Flight 370 is given clearance to depart. On board are Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid, 10 cabin crew members, and 227 passengers.
Number control, Malaysian 370. Malaysian 370, Lampu radar, good morning, climb flight level 250. Morning, level 250, Malaysian 370. Malaysian 370, climb flight level 350. Level 350, Malaysian 370.
Black Hawk Dog.
Less than an hour into the flight, the plane
What
is
do you think
cruising
happened
over
to
the
the
South
plan?
China
Predictions?
Sea
What
at an
plan? To
altitude
the
of
plane?
35.
I actually kind of forgot this story. Well, they crashed it, they never found anything, so I would guess they crashed and the currents put all the evidence away, I would guess. Well, they're not flying over Iran, so they didn't get shut down.
5,000 feet. The night sky is clear,
China
and
did
the
it?
weather is calm. Flight 370 is then instructed to signal air traffic control in Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam, as it is about to enter Vietnamese airspace. The flight controller in Kuala Lumpur says goodnight, with no sign that anything should be amiss.
Malaysian 370, maintaining level 350. Malaysian 370. Malaysian 370, maintaining level 350. Malaysian 370. Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night. Good night, Malaysian 370.
This is the highest volume, man. Come on, put up the volume in your...
1 minute and 43 seconds later, the aircraft suddenly vanish from radar screens at Kuala Lumpur, Ho Chi Minh, and
Well, that
Bangkok.
must be a crash.
This form of positional tracking depends on a signal being emitted by one of two transponders aboard a plane, and so its disappearance would suggest both transponders ceased to function, or the system was manually deactivated by someone on board. All subsequent attempts to contact and ascertain the whereabouts of Flight 370 are unsuccessful. The aircraft has seemingly vanished without a trace. After missing its scheduled time of
Did they ever, I'm going conspiracy here, did they ever check the list of passengers and if someone was like really important there?
arrival in Beijing some
shit.
4 hours later, Flight 370 is officially declared missing. And in the
Just
wake
keep
of that
watching.
announcement,
Thank you,
the most
Gingers.
expensive search effort in aviation history is about to commence.
Very interesting.
14 already. Time flies, Pog.
The search was initially concentrated around the location of the flight's disappearance between the South China Sea and the Gulf of Thailand. The search area was soon expanded, however, after the Malaysian military disclosed additional information. Unlike the radar system employed by air traffic control, long-range military radar does not rely on transponders but use reflectance to track the position of aerial targets.
They can see your
A
aircraft from
review
so
of
far
the
away.
data
It's crazy.
collected by the Malaysian military revealed that moments after contact with Flight 370 was lost, the aircraft had deviated from its scheduled flight path with a subtle turn to the right, followed by a prolonged turn to the left. The aircraft had then flown back towards and across the Malaysian peninsula before turning right near
Wait,
the
this is confirmed. It didn't crash, it was still flying. Holy, that is... What the fuck? What the fuck?
island of Penang. It maintained this northwesterly heading until it escaped the radar's coverage. Over the next few days,
That is
the Strait of
confirmed.
Malacca, the Andaman Sea, and the Bay of Bengal was scoured by a multinational...
But doesn't that... I want to act like I'm an investigator. Doesn't that already show human behavior? someone turned the transponders off and then changed the route, so you see that human behavior has been part of this, and not like a crash or something.
Fleet of
Nothing
aircraft and
natural.
vessels, but there was no trace
So you don't need to
of
fucking
Flight
search for it, you know?
370.
They obviously
Meanwhile,
did something.
investigators began to analyze the aircraft's satellite communication records. Like all modern airliners, Flight 370 was equipped with a satellite communications terminal, or SATCOM, to send and receive transmissions.
Like, sometimes I have this weird theory. I might be going too far here. Maybe I'm just an idiot, man. But look, if the most powerful organizations in the world want to do something, they fucking do it, man. Dude, they killed a president. They killed JFK, man. If the most powerful... I know I sound like a weirdo here, but come on, you gotta fucking think about this. If they want to make you vanish, if they want to kill you in your fucking own cell because your name is Jeffrey Epstein, dude, they will fucking do it, man. Holy fuck, Tommy, come on, man. Come on. Don't fucking be... If the real powerful want to get something done, they get it fucking done, dude.
To and
It's no
from
conspiracy
the ground.
bullshit, man.
Prior to departure,
on,
the
man.
SATCOM terminal had logged on to the satellite network and established a connection with a ground station in Perth, Australia. That station then maintained a detailed record of all the incoming and outgoing traffic between it and Flight 370. This is what it contained. Prior to the flight's disappearance over the South China
they saw
Sea,
what happened. How many
everything
people
appeared to be working as
died without
intended.
anyone knowing.
Then, at some point during this portion of the flight, the SATCOM link was severed. For whatever reason, the terminal ceased to respond. But 3 minutes after the flight vanished over the Andaman Sea, the terminal requested to log back onto the network. The SATCOM link was successfully re-established and was not disrupted again until nearly 6 hours later, when the flight is presumed to have crashed due to fuel exhaustion.
Yeah, someone
During
would have
these
probably done
final-
the mathematics on their fuel, right? And at what point the fuel would be out. But why would the human decide to go somewhere else knowing he's running out of fuel anyway? At the moment, I'm just acting like I'm an investigator. I would think maybe one of the pilots was suicidal and wanted to do some dumb shit, maybe. And he... Back then, right, you could still put... You could make that no one can get into the cockpit.
Hours, two attempts were made to contact the plane via satellite telephone. Both calls were acknowledged by the SATCOM terminal and would have been routed to the
But
cockpit.
co-pilot's like the guy in Spain. The co-pilot was going for P, and the other guy locked the door. Since 9/11, they can lock the doors, and you can just and no one can come in anymore. That's what happened with the Spain guy.
Yet, they went unanswered. The terminal had also responded to 5 automatic status requests. In short, if the ground station had not heard from the aircraft in over an hour, it would transmit a signal to confirm the terminal was still online. While these transmissions did not contain any information about the flight's position, investigators
Bill
were
Nye,
able to
we're a
measure
reaction
the
streamer, okay?
distance
I'm talking
between
shit.
the
Hey guys, I'm making a little break just to say that Bill Nye can suck it. There you go.
satellite
Man, I'm toxic lately. I kind of like it though.
and the aircraft at the time of each transmission, based on how long it took those transmissions to be sent and received. This generated 7 rings of possible locations from which 7 of these transmissions are thought to have originated.
The fuck?
By taking fuel consumption, speed, and other factors into account, flight path analysis indicated the most probable origin of the final transmission to be somewhere along this arc in the southern Indian
What? Why
Ocean.
would he be there then?
The search
Most
effort
likely
shifted
though.
accordingly, and as the
Thank you,
region
Striker.
fell within the
I
jurisdiction
listen
of
to a shit ton of
Australia,
politic
the
news,
Australian
great
government
album,
took
man.
charge
Big
of
fan.
the operation. Over the next few weeks, the search area was progressively refined to account for oceanic drift as well as improved estimations of the flight path. But this part of the southern Indian Ocean
Imagine you're a passenger
is
on
so
that flight.
remote,
You just
it
fly
took
all around the
6
world and you're like,
days
what the
just
fuck
to
is
get
happening,
there.
man?
A new fleet of aircraft and vessels gradually covered more than 4.5 million square kilometers of ocean, but Flight 370
Creepy quarters?
was nowhere to be found.
Hillary Clinton?
If the impact with the ocean had
I always
been
feel like with
sufficient-
stories like this that the solution is mostly more simple than you think. Like human beings tend to really create drama, like something. It was probably the CIA, but in the end it was just something basic.
forceful, it was possible the resulting sound had been recorded by underwater listening devices known as hydrophones. This possibility was investigated, and 4 hydroacoustic monitoring stations had recorded something.
That is so fucking scary, man. That's some fucking chlorophyll shit. Holy moly, man. Is that a plane crashing to the water, man? Oh my, that is so scary, dude.
While the timing and direction of the sound were reasonably consistent with the final satellite transmission, the estimated origin was not. The sound was in all likelihood caused by nothing more than geological activity. Flight 370 was also equipped with 2 underwater locator beacons which had a battery life of some 40 days, and as the deadline approached in early April, signals would...
But doesn't... As a kid, I always learned every plane has a black box, and the black box can always be... Well, you have to physically find it probably, right? It doesn't like send out a signal or something.
Pulse and frequencies somewhat similar to the signal emitted by the beacons were detected at depths of up to 3,000 meters. An autonomous submersible then spent weeks scanning the seafloor where the signals had been detected, but no wreckage was ever found. And nothing would be found until more than 16 months later, when a discovery was made on the opposite side of the Indian Ocean. On the 29th of July 2015, a group of people were cleaning up a beach in Reunion, a small island to the east of Madagascar, when they stumbled upon this 2-meter-long metallic object covered in barnacles. Aviation experts quickly identified the object as a section of an aircraft wing known as a flaperon. Upon closer inspection, internal markings including dates and serial numbers conclusively ascertained the
Well, they just crashed. I mean, how is this crazy? They fucking crashed, and unfortunately we didn't find them.
belonged to Flight 370.
Isn't that proof of crash?
Even though Reunion Island is some 4,000 kilometers west of the search area, and more than a year had gone by since the flight disappeared, the location was consistent with simulations of debris dispersal patterns.
Dude, there's debris
There was now tangible evidence that
this is kind of how plastic moves in the ocean. No shit, man.
Flight 370 had crashed somewhere in the Indian Ocean. The discovery of the flaperon prompted numerous searches along beaches and shorelines of southeastern Africa, and at least 31 additional items of interest have since been recovered
What the
and
fuck is the big
examined.
deal?
Some of these items include a section of the outboard flap from the right wing, a piece of cowling
The question is
from
though,
one of the
why
two
would he
engines,
still change his
a partial
route?
door
Why would
from
the
the
pilot
nose
just
landing
go somewhere
gear,
else? Why would he do that?
a section of the vertical
The
stabilizer,
question is why? I would think it was suicidal, I
and
guess.
a mangled casing from one of the embedded headrest monitors. 18 of these items were identified as either likely, highly likely, or almost certain to have originated from Flight 370, whereas only 3 could be confirmed. The remaining 11 could not be identified. There were no traces of an explosion found on any of the debris tested, nor was there any
Why would the terrorists get an airplane Kuala Lumpur, man? They want to hit white people in America.
evidence of a fire, except for 3 small burn marks on one of the unidentifiable
marks.
items. The search for debris was further aided by Earth observation satellites. Analyses of satellite imagery from March of 2014 uncovered a number of images which appear to feature man-made objects floating on or just below the
Dude, it's kind of crazy what they can all find, man.
surface in the southern Indian Ocean.
Holy moly.
However, the images were not nearly sharp enough to resolve any identifiable
Snakes on a
markings,
plane?
and multiple searches notwithstanding, this debris was never recovered. A satellite image taken mere hours after the final transmission also captured what appeared to be a contrail some distance
Isn't that
away
crazy what
from
they
the
can
search
see, man?
area. A later analysis, however, concluded it was
chemtrails,
most
Chad.
likely a shadow from a somewhat linear cloud formation. The underwater portion of the search continued for
Patch
months
base?
and eventually years before it was finally suspended in early 2017, by which point some...
I don't know if I'm wrong, but some weeks ago I was opening my German news, and they found there was something about this. I just didn't care. Like, they found something
120,000
or
square kilometers of seabed had been scrutinized. The search effort was then resumed by an American salvage
Isn't radar
company
like the
known
best
as
technology
Ocean
ever, man?
Infinity,
Everything you
but
can do
after more
with
than a year
radar
of
is so
searching,
insane.
they too came up empty-handed. Unless the final resting place of Flight 370 can be located, it may be impossible to determine exactly why it crashed. Nevertheless, there have been no shortage of theories.
Thank you,
On the day of the disappearance, 2 of the passengers raised suspicion as they had boarded the flight with stolen passports, which immediately prompted concerns of a hijacking. But investigators were unable to link the 2 men to any terrorist organizations, and soon determined they had traveled under false identities because they were seeking asylum, not due to any nefarious intent.
Yeah, most
Similar
fake passports in the
suspicions were
world are
raised
just
when one
for
of the
asylum
passengers were
and
identified as a
immigration.
flight engineer, who might have possessed the necessary expertise to take control of a Boeing 777. Apart from the 239 persons on board, Flight 370 carried nearly 11 metric tons of cargo. Among the items listed on the flight manifest was a shipment of lithium-ion batteries, which led some to suspect a fire might have broken out mid-flight.
And then he tried to get back,
the
maybe?
crash of UPS Airlines Flight 6 in September of 2010 was the result.
But if you get fire in the back and this all burns, you still have enough time to send out signals, right?
Of a fire that was ignited by a pallet of lithium-ion batteries. Another potential source of ignition would be an electrical malfunction. The crash of Swiss Air Flight 111 in September of 1998 is thought to have been caused by a fire within the electrical wiring above the cockpit. The fire damaged and disabled multiple avionic systems, including the transponders and SATCOM. In the case of Flight 370, the sudden loss of communication and subsequent deviation from its scheduled flight path might have been a direct response to a fire.
Yeah.
The two pilots may have turned back towards Malaysia to attempt an emergency landing at the nearest suitable airport. But no such attempt was ever made. Instead, Flight 370 kept going and remained aloft for another 6 hours.
It's getting really interesting.
Some have
moly,
theorized
man.
the crew might have been incapacitated by a sudden or gradual loss of cabin pressure. For instance, when Helios Airways Flight 522 failed to pressurize in August of 2005,
how many fucking crashes is there? I never want to fly again. Fuck this shit.
the pilots quickly fell unconscious. Yet the aircraft continued to fly on autopilot for more than 2 hours until it ran out of fuel. Airline pilots are of course trained for such an event. In the event of cabin depressurization, an automatic system is designed to deploy oxygen masks to give the pilots enough time to perform an emergency descent to a more breathable altitude.
No. Come on, that is wrong. Planes are by far statistically the most safe form of travel. By far. That is clear.
The data recorded by the Malaysian military radar does indeed contain altitude information, but it is highly inconsistent. In fact, a Boeing 777 is incapable.
The annual risk of being killed in a plane crash for the average American is about 1 in 11 million. On that basis, the risk looks pretty small. Compare that, for example, to the annual risk of being killed in a motor vehicle air crash, which is 1 in 5,000. Yeah. I think what makes people so scared, or what gives this horrifying idea to plane crashes, that have no control. When you are in a car, you have control. You can go away and stuff, you know? And in an airplane, you have no control. If something happens, you're fucked. You're just gonna sit there. Which is why, and here I'm a big German boomer, I truly believe that for me, TommyKay, driving a car is safer than flying a plane. Because I'm such a good driver. I'm a fucking German boomer. I'm such a good driver that I will never die. Like, I'm always driving slow. I always look at everything. I always expect that everybody is retarded, man. Yes. I truly believe that.
Performing the extreme altitude fluctuations recorded. At one point, the aircraft exceeded its maximum operating altitude by more than 15,000 feet before making a 50,000 feet nosedive in less than a minute. Attempts to recreate these maneuvers on a flight simulator were unsuccessful, and thus the data was deemed inaccurate and unreliable. If Flight 370 did lose cabin pressure...
True, Ryan, it's true. Everyone in chat who will ever fucking drive a car, 90% of being a driver is expecting others to be retards. It's the truth of life. The truth of life, man. You will be the best driver ever if you always just when I'm on the highway, I always stay away from everybody. Nobody get close to me, nobody touch me. I don't trust any of you. You guys are all idiots. That's how you stay safe. It's the fucking truth. Every driver on chat knows
35,000 feet.
Stay away from
and the pilots were incapacitated before descending to a more oxygenated altitude. It might explain why the aircraft remained aloft for as long as it did. What is a bit more difficult to explain, however, are these alterations in heading. Flight simulations have established the aircraft must have been under manual control during the initial left turn, as the bank angle or inclination of that turn was beyond the limits of the autopilot. Subsequent turns, however, could have been either manual or automatic. But for the autopilot to have made these course corrections, someone with the requisite knowledge must have programmed it to do so. The only other alternative is that the aircraft was in fact under manual control.
That's actually really interesting, right? It's like a movie. You want to know what happened.
In late June of 2014, several news outlets reported that a special
Yes, if I was the
investigation
investigator,
had
I would
identified
heavily
the
look onto
captain
the
of Flight
pilot, man, and
370 as a prime suspect.
anything
A
about his
search of the
childhood, of
captain's home
psychology.
uncovered a flight simulator which supposedly contained a suspicious route which ended in the southern Indian Ocean. At the time, there was no official acknowledgement that such a route had been recovered, and a lengthy public report issued by the Malaysian government in 2015 made no mention of such a discovery. Then, in 2016, confidential documents pertaining to a forensic examination conducted by the Royal Malaysia Police in May of 2014 was leaked to the media. These documents made it clear that such a route had not only been recovered, but thoroughly examined. Soon thereafter, the Malaysian government confirmed the existence of this simulated flight path, and this is what it looks like. It should come as no surprise that many regard this as damning evidence of premeditation, but according to investigators, it is not quite so evident. The data recovered consists of 7 coordinates, 2 in Kuala Lumpur, 2 in the Strait of Malacca, 1 in the Bay of Bengal, and 2 in the southern Indian Ocean. The data was reconstructed from a file that had been automatically generated and saved by the simulation software a month before the incident. However, it's not clear whether the coordinates originate from the same flight session. In other words, it might not be correct to simply trace a continuous line between these 7 coordinates, as they could be from separate sessions. The forensic examination by the Royal Malaysia Police simply concluded no activity.
I actually quite like
captured
flying. Sorry if I always pause, but it's reaction. Because when I fly, I love to look out of the window. I think it's almost a privilege to look out of the window of an airplane. You see so much stuff, man. It was so cool when we arrived in the UK, and I see the UK and the cliffs and the ocean. I think it's so beautiful, man. One of my greatest experiences ever as a human was flying to China. I saw Mongolia and the mountains, and I saw people living in the mountains. It was so cool, man. So fucking
conclusively
cool.
Indicate any kind of premeditated act pertaining to...
When I was flying to China, I almost died. I remember 7 hours in, we were over Mongolia, and there was a storm or something. And dude, I'm really a hard guy, right? I'm in my chair like 4 years ago. I'm flying to China from Berlin to Beijing, like with the jet stream, a little bit over Mongolia, and suddenly like, and you're like, okay, there's turbulences, right? And it's like night, everybody's sleeping and it's quiet. And next to me is like this woman, and like more, and and suddenly like, and then dude, there was really like for 5 minutes, that wasn't normal, man. It was really, dude, for 5 minutes I thought, hey, I swear it's not a fake story. Rosie, why would you say that, you cunt? You fucking bitch, man. I'm using bad words today. I'm sorry. I'm really a bit toxic. Because I hate people like Rosie's, okay? And man, there was these 5 minutes where I felt, oh, so this is how it feels like when you die in an airplane. And it just felt like you're just shocked. You're just like, like, it's not like you're crying or screaming. You're just like, oh man, that was really, oh my god, that was so scary, man.
The incident
that scared the shit out of me.
370. Even so, the similarities between the simulated route and the presumed route of Flight 370 directly influenced the search operation.
Imagine I would make that up. There probably is really streamers that make stories like this up. That is quite sad, actually, making that shit up, dude. I mean, why would I just randomly make that up, that I got into turbulences over fucking Mongolia, man?
Australian investigators considered the possibility of someone deliberately extending the range of the flight by gliding the aircraft off the fuel exhaustion. If so, the plane could have traveled an additional 200 kilometers. Alternatively, the range could have been reduced by a controlled ditching prior to fuel exhaustion. While ultimately deemed unlikely, these two scenarios did affect the search effort.
Controlled ditch? Why would you do a controlled ditch, man?
If the captain steered Flight 370
Lisa, we should watch that movie with Tom Hanks where he's landing the plane in New York.
course with the intention of crashing in a remote part of the southern Indian Ocean, his motive is an even greater mystery. Zahari Ahmad Shah was 53 and married with 3 children. He had more than 18,000 hours of flight experience and a spotless track record. Investigators found no evidence of financial issues, and his monthly expenses before the disappearance indicated nothing unusual. He had no history of mental illness, nor had he displayed any recent changes in lifestyle or behavior. He was raised on the island of Penang, which has led some to speculate the flight's second turn to the southwest of Penang was the captain getting a final view of his hometown.
Yeah, like, I'm still with the suicide thing. I am still with the suicide thing right now.
Some believe a hijacking could have been politically motivated, as Zahari was an avid supporter of a democratic opposition leader who was sentenced to 5 years in prison mere hours before Flight 370 took off. Others point to unconfirmed reports of marital issues, but this is contradicted by the official investigation and disputed by family members.
You never know who wants to suicide, man. Look at the world, man. You guys all look like, wait, what? Robert Williams killed himself? Dude, you never know who's depressed and wants to kill himself, dude. You never fucking know, dude.
The only real inconsistency noted by the final report is that the captain failed to repeat the assigned radio frequency during the last verbal communication.
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night. Good night, Malaysian 370.
It would have been standard procedure to repeat the assigned frequency as the captain had correctly done a few minutes prior.
370, contact Lampu Radar 1326, good night.
Alright, 1326 Malaysian 370.
Whether this omission is indicative of anything but a mistake is anyone's best guess. By all accounts,
How shitty you have to be to kill families in order to take your own life. It was a big thing in Germany 3 years ago when that German pilot crashed in Barcelona, in Spain, and killed a lot of Germans. He was suicidal and he killed hundreds of people with him, yeah. The thing is though, I knew a guy that was, oh man, another fake story. Back in the day, me and my friend would go to a bar in Halle called Czech, and there was a barkeeper. I forgot his name though. And one day I turned on the TV and he was at Stern TV. He was on the TV because he was the boyfriend of one of the girls dying in that airplane. And I remember that. And he will just say, dude, you know, we can all sit here and think why he did that, but it doesn't bring these people back. Like the people that are actually affected and actually lost someone, they actually realized that it doesn't matter why he did it, you know. The people are dead anyway. But yeah, very sad stuff, very sad stuff. I mean, they changed the laws now, right? You can't be alone in the cockpit anymore. That's forbidden now.
The Zahari.
But true, man, you know, you can say, what an asshole. He just killed all these people. What an asshole. But on the other hand, who cares, you know? He's dead, they're all dead. Your opinion, my opinion doesn't matter. You know, that's the finality on sadness of death. It doesn't matter what your opinion is. They're dead anyway.
He was an affable and well-respected pilot who was passionate about aviation, as evident by the photos and videos he shared on social media.
Hi everyone, this is a YouTube video that I made as a community service after learning.
The co-pilot was found to be even less conspicuous. Farik Abdul Hamid was only 27 and due to marry a fellow pilot. He had nearly 3,000 hours of flight experience, although...
The question I would ask right now, was it possible for the main pilot to cut off access to this guy? Like it was in Spain with the German guy. Was there a possibility in this airplane, which I think there is, to cut him out?
Oh, only 39 hours in this type
but
of
imagine you sit in an airplane for 6 hours and people are screaming behind you and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna
aircraft. Much like Zahari,
I think the
Farik had no
Boeing has
financial,
that back in the day.
mental or interpersonal issues of note, nor was there any evidence of
terrorist
conflict between
block.
the two of them. Some questioned the plausibility of a pilot-instigated hijacking due to the apparent lack of interference by the other pilot. Well, when Ethiopian Airlines Flight 702 was hijacked by the co-pilot in February of 2014, he did so by merely waiting for the captain to take a bathroom break before locking the cockpit door.
That's what I've been saying the whole
him.
time, man. That's
the
what I would
co-pilot
think.
was then free to divert the Italy-bound flight to Switzerland to seek asylum. The only noteworthy piece of evidence in regards to the co-pilot of Flight 370 is his phone. You see, when the
On the day when the guy crashed in Spain, my mother flew from Malta to Germany at the exact same time he crashed, and I did not know if my mother just died. Oh, man, dude. I don't think you're making that up, and that is... Oh, dude. It's like, man, dude, I know that feeling a bit, another fake story. When the attacks in Halle happened, the guy at the synagogue, one of my best friends, Frank, the lawyer to my stream, he lived literally right around the corner where the guy shot the woman, and he walks there every day to the fucking tram. And I was like, dude, man, are you okay, man? Fucking hell. That shit is... you don't wish that to anyone.
The confidential documents were leaked. They also confirmed another long-circulated rumor, namely that a cell phone tower had briefly established a connection with an iPhone 5S belonging to the co-pilot as Flight 370 approached the island of Penang. According to investigators, it was not a phone call as has been widely reported by the media, but merely an automatic location signal. Why this information was omitted from public reports, we may never know. So what is one to make of all of this?
When that happened, when that attack happened, I just imagined, dude, I'm really not an emotional guy, but stuff like this, I always imagined, because I want to be honest, I saw the video. I saw the video where the guy is shooting the woman in Halle, you know? I saw it. Why? That's not a question. And I thought that was so sad, man. And I imagined my mom walking past there. I imagined my mom just walking to work and some random dude just shoots her, man. Like, that's unimaginable. That shit is unimaginable for the human brain, man. And now this little cunt sits in prison, man, and he's doing these Nazi manifestos, man. Ho, 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 ho. I'm so cool. That little bitch, man. Sometimes, man, you should go to prison to get into a cell and fuck this guy up, man.
On the one hand, the simulated flight path seems suspicious. On the other, it is difficult to cast any substantial doubt on either of the two pilots' character. It is equally difficult to deny a hijacking is consistent with the available evidence. Then again, we're missing some quite major and literal pieces of evidence.
Obviously.
The final report issued by the Malaysian government in 2018 could not attribute the loss of communication nor diversion of Flight 370 to a malfunction. Instead, it is believed that someone manually manipulated the aircraft and its systems. For instance, investigators believe SATCOM was manually disabled by a sudden and prolonged interruption of power. Then, once power was restored, the terminal simply rebooted. Likewise, the alterations in heading are believed to be the result of manual inputs. With that being said, the uncertainty...
A lot of people in chat are now sharing stories where some attacks happened and friends of them were close. I was watching the German news some days ago about the guy in Norway that shot people with a bow, and she said something which is just right. Asmongold said that too. I got it from him too. It seems we just live in a world now where this is normal. You have to walk out of your apartment knowing that there's a small chance, like a plane crash or getting hit by thunder, that some fucker is going to shoot you with arrows or a terrorist attack. It's just normal now. It is normal. It's sad, but it is reality. And I might sound crazy, man, but when I'm in the outside, I fucking look around, man. This might be sounding crazy, but when I'm at TwitchCon or ParadoxCon, I fucking look around, man. I look at people that look weird and stuff. You know, I don't want to fucking do racial profiling or something, but I always look at my surroundings and what seems weird. And, you know, just in case. Might be crazy, but this is the world we live in now, dude. Situational awareness, yeah.
If these findings are repeatedly emphasized due to the limited evidence available,
mental health
and the report
declining?
does never explicitly state the flight was hijacked. In fact, no real conclusion is reached. Both the Malaysian and Australian government agree that Flight 370 crashed in the southern Indian Ocean, but that the cause is indeterminable without the wreckage, the location of which has managed to elude some of the foremost aviation experts in the world, as well as an impressive arsenal of cutting-edge technology for more than half a decade.
I don't know, man. I think this is because of the media. You just hear about this more often, but it's not happening more often. Is that true? I don't know statistics, but like in Germany, we have more attacks than ever. I think statistics show that. I think so. Like 20 years ago, they didn't go around killing politicians.
This reminds me
and
of
trying
all
to
the
get
times
into
we had
synagogues and
bombings
shit,
in
you know?
England, or the stabbings
Or
and shootings
at
that
least
happen
less.
on the road I live on monthly, and how I wonder how my grandmother is doing when she is walking alone at night doing her care job.
Thank you, Van Pebble, man. Yeah, a lot of people have stories about this. It's crazy, man. And it's quite sad, and I sometimes get very angry at this. Like, what kind of world do we live in, man? Most people on this planet are still fucking good, you know? Most of you viewers, dude, I have 2K viewers, there's a chance that one of you guys is actually serial killer, but the West, we're all normal people, man, and I sometimes get angry at this stuff that we live in a world like this, and I sometimes wish, you know, you have this inner anger, and you just wish that maybe the good people will stand up a bit more and fight this shit, you know, and do something about it. Like, you know, like there's so much injustice, and I feel like we could do more about it, man. Be a bit more harsh against it, you know? This dumb shit, man.
Authors, aviation experts, and independent investigators have all chimed in.
Like, it's and here we go, I'm gonna sound like an old man now. It can't be that Anders Breivik, the New Zealand shooter, and the Halle shooter are sitting in prison right now having fun, man. They can write letters, they can influence people, they can... the German shooter just had a little relationship with a government woman who is now suspended, man. Mr. Breivik has a PlayStation 4. Like, I don't know, I always believe in ethics and constitution and freedom, but people like this, man, they need to get fucked a little bit more, man. He can't fucking have a PlayStation, man. He was literally suing for a PlayStation 4 and he won the case because of human rights, whatever. But my God, come on, man. Have you ever seen Anders Breivik cells, man? Anders Breivik cell. This guy killed how many people? How many people did he kill? Dude, this is a better room than I used to own in my own stream. This is better than my old streaming room. This is better than my own streaming room in Halle back then. He killed 70 people and he lives like this and he has a PlayStation right here. You can Google that. He sued for it. And I sometimes feel like, man, a little bit more fucking justice, man. A little bit more, you know, it's still ethical and shit. Don't just fucking, they still have rights. But man, what are we doing here, man? These people are just
their
laughing,
own thoughts and theories as to the nature of the crash and the location of the wreckage. Some believe there was no crash, but that the aircraft was shot down by an American naval base in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The satellite transmissions were then supposedly forged as part of a massive cover-up. Others believe the aircraft turned right towards India and traveled as far north as Kazakhstan, completely undetected. Debris was then supposedly planted along shorelines of southeastern Africa as part of a massive cover-up.
Rehabilitation bigger than punishment. I have the opinion, and I know I sound like a weird old German here. Some people, look, I studied law and I love constitution and democracy, and everybody should have a second chance. But I believe that some people inside a human society have given their full rights to be part of human society. When you do certain things like killing 70 people, you lost your right to be part of society and you lost your right for rehabilitation, man. You know, when you're fucking 16 and you have a shitty childhood and you killed someone for drug deals, okay, maybe we can talk about rehabilitation one day, but killing 70 people, the fucking New Zealand guy shooting all of these people, man, I feel like there should be a law of no rehabilitation status and just, you know, no death penalty, but
suggests
gone,
the aircraft was remotely
gone and no
hijacked
PlayStation,
and controlled
you know?
by someone on the ground. While Boeing and other companies have experimented with technology that would allow for an aircraft to be
The problem
remotely...
is that what I'm saying here is very hard to connect to constitutions and human rights charters and stuff like that.
No commercial airliner is known to be outfitted with such a system.
Blood for the blood god.
On the less conspiratorial...
I've always been a guy, man, that asks for more justice. I'm gonna say something weird now, okay? This is gonna get weird. Just bear with me. Lately, this is gonna get weird. Lately, I'm listening to Warhammer 40k, okay? It's like a fantasy lore. A lot of people don't know that, okay? And in this lore, there's a guy called the Emperor of Mankind. And he's like a god, okay? And what he does is, he looks at the human race for thousands of years and he's like, man, you guys are all idiots. You're fucking trash. And he says, fuck this, I'm taking over. And he takes over and he's like, fuck all this bullshit. I make the rules now. Justice, reason, and logic will now prevail. He did very wrong, but I sometimes like the system, not of a dictator, but of more harsh justice and more harsh going against the idiots, man. I don't know, man. Listen, guys, this is about Warhammer. You know what I mean? I'm not asking for a dictator to take care. No, I'm not saying that, man. But I personally, TommyKay, I'm a guy. Look, I like the police and shit. You know, I have no problems if there's a lot of cameras in the UK because. If you have good institutions that look into the police, the executive, right? That controls them, checks and balances. I have no problem with having armed policemen in my city if they're being controlled with CCTV. You know, I have no problem. I don't know.
Side, the assumption that Flight 370 flew in a straight line and at a constant speed
I know there's many issues coming with that, and all this has to be always controlled and shit.
Might simply be incorrect. In early 20...
But man, you know, man, what the fuck is this world becoming, man? I can't even walk through my own capital, fucking Berlin, without being scared of stepping into a syringe or getting fucking mugged or some shit. How is that normal? Why are we all just standing here and like it's normal? It's normal that people get shot all the time now and stuff. Why do good people look away so much and act like this is normal? That's kind of the point I want to make. I sometimes feel like the normal people have to stand up a bit more and call this out a bit more against injustice. Thank you, Krios. But nobody does. We're all sedated. We all have our lives, our vacations, our phones. Nobody gives a fuck anymore.
2018, a French team of independent investigators proposed an alternate flight path, whereby an attempted landing on Christmas Island led to a crash site much further north than the region identified by the official investigation. While a surface search of this area was conducted about a week after the disappearance, the underwater phase never reached this far north. As of the making of this video, the search operation has been suspended, but there have been talks of potentially resuming the
Holy
search.
crap, man.
For now, it seems, the vanishing of Flight 370 will
Come to China,
remain
we have it
mystery.
like this here. The problem is you have to always find the middle ground, the centrist ground, right? You can't have an authoritarian dictatorship where nobody can do anything anymore. Sure, I just want to share my feelings with my chat, and I, in the last years, feel like that good people are looking away too much. That's what I feel like. Maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know, man. But you know, man. I don't know. It starts with basic stuff like real life. You have corrupt politicians in Germany, proven corrupt politicians that provenly did something corrupt, and no one cares. No one goes on the street. No one there's no 10,000 people in Berlin. There's only idiots in Berlin. Corona is fake. Reise, ich bin, wo ist der Kaiser, Alter? Some fucking idiots, man. But normal people, basic people, they don't fucking do this anymore. They don't go on the street and ask for some politician that's proven corrupt to step back. No, they stay at home, they jerk off, they watch Netflix, man. I guess that's my, you know. Sebastian Kurz has been stepped down as Austrian fucking chancellor because he has fucking corruption on his ass. There's so much proof. And he just got re-voted as the leader of the leading party of Austria. And no one cares, man. They still vote for him. Strache has live on video sold out the Austrians, man. A patriot who sells everything to the Russians, man. And the people still vote him again into parliament? Like, was ist denn los, Alter? Alle bescheuert oder was? I know. This is dumb, man.